In this video, I'm going to show you how to break down this really simple and awesome duck boat blind that's made entirely out of off-the-shelf EMT conduit and connectors that you can find at makerpipe.com. And this was built by a customer of ours named Jonathan, who put this together for his boat. And it's, like I said, really simple and really cool. And I'm just going to break down the design and show you guys how to recreate something like this if you want to build one for your boat. And one thing I love about this is, commonly we get questions when people are building boat blinds out of conduit and connectors. They want to know how they can secure it to their boat. And everybody's got different boats, different needs for, all the different hunting that they're doing. And this is a really cool use of the VersaTrack system, I believe it's called. And he actually found these brackets that you see here that pretty much mount inside of that track. And then he built off of those, which I think is really awesome. As you can see here, he's got those pretty much in the channel of the track going down the duck blind, on the boat, which I think works really good for this kind of thing. And that gave him a good kind of stable platform to start the rest of the build. But if you're unfamiliar with the EMT conduit, it's a steel tubing you can get off the shelf at different hardware and home improvement stores. We usually like to get it at our local Do It Best store, but you can find it in the electrical aisle of most big box stores. But essentially, you don't have to do any welding when you build with Maker Pipe and conduit. You can use a handheld tubing cutter, a bender to work with conduit, and then you can assemble connections with a 5mm hex wrench. So you can build all kinds of awesome stuff, not just duck blinds, and you can do it really easily. But this one here, we'll just kind of go through and break down the design of this. So essentially, he's got two of those brackets mounted. He's got one on each side of the boat, and those are just mounted here to the channel of the boat. One on that side and then one on the other side. And then he's using the adjustable angle flange from Maker Pipe, and that is bolted directly to that kind of steel flat mount there, as we can see. And essentially he's just got that grabbing on there and then angled the complete other direction, and then securing this piece of conduit that terminates inside of the connection and then runs from one side of the boat all the way to the other, to another adjustable angle flange. And then it's going to be the same thing in the very back, pretty much just the exact same design, just adjustable angle flange on one side and then on the other, and then the piece of EMT conduit terminating inside of it and then going from one side to the other, just like that. And so essentially, once you have that kind of base two pieces of conduit in place, you can then build off the rest of this frame, which is what he did here, and essentially just grabbed onto that horizontal piece of conduit with the Maker Pipe adjustable angle hinge. And both of these connectors, the flange and the hinge, utilize the same kind of construction, which allow you to hinge and rotate pieces of conduit. I think for the flanges, he's just got it secured there. Doesn't need to hinge those in any way. But these adjustable angle hinges, he's using to be able to fold down these two kind of side panels here. So you can fold them up and then fold them down really easily just by leaving the bottom half of the end clamp connector loose there. He's able to just kind of, the end clamp you want to secure completely, but the top half, the puzzle piece clamp, you want to leave that part loose, and then that allows you to hinge the end clamp and move it back and forth. And so that's what he's using to be able to do that. And then essentially he's just got another piece of conduit going up from there. And then here we can see that he's actually incorporated some bends in this. So if you don't have a handheld tubing bender, they're not too expensive, they're not too complicated to use. You can practice and you can get good at it and do all kinds of cool stuff in your builds. We actually have a video tutorial on how to use the bender that I'll link down below. But if you don't want to do any bends, you could just make this a harsh right angle and then just use a Maker Pipe T connector up here in the corner to achieve that 90-degree elbow. But if you want to use a bender, like I said, it allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. And that's what he has done here. He's bent a 90-degree corner there, and then he's got a piece of conduit going about halfway down. Now you're kind of limited when you use the empty conduit to the constraints of the size that you can find it in, which are usually 5 and 10 foot lengths. So you have to kind of get creative whenever you're doing builds that are longer than that. And so what he's done, we'll look at another photo here in a second, we can see a close-up, but essentially about halfway down, somewhere along this piece, we can see it right there actually, where he's actually used the Maker Pipe coupling to break this up and split it into two pieces. And that makes it really easy to get bends like this because you don't have to get it perfectly measured out. You can pretty much just bend two pieces of conduit and then trim it off. But essentially, just mounted there going down, and then he's got another adjustable angle hinge mounting that there. Then he's got a coupling up here to join those two pieces of conduit together. And that's pretty much the main part of the frame. Of course, there's one more panel on the other side, mounted with adjustable angle hinge, and then he's got the bent pieces of conduit going up and then all the way down just like that, split again, split there in the coupling, going down, and then going down on the other side with another adjustable angle hinge. So pretty much the same exact design for 2 panels. And then, like I said, with those connectors, you can hinge those up and down really easily. Then it's just a matter of, attaching your netting to the frame. As he's done here, he's just used some really lightweight netting just secured to the frame with zip ties, it looks like. We've also seen people use some hardware cloth to create kind of a metal grid system that they've used for securing, the leaves and the camouflage and things too. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But you can kind of get creative and customize that part of it however you want for the different environments that you're in. But overall, this is a really simple frame, not too expensive, just a few connectors, a few sticks of conduit, and no welding. Just put this thing together and you'll be out there in no time. So that's really awesome. We'll go and look at that other photo that I was mentioning of the close-up of the coupling there. You can see where it joins those 2 pieces of conduit and just makes it really easy to have a longer length than just what you can find in the hardware store. So really awesome boat blind from Jonathan. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions or if you're building a custom blind and you need some help, feel free to reach out to us and we'll do our best to help you in any way that we can. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.